Hi, it's Robin. So, I've been slowly rewatching all of the old Spider-Man movies in preparation for Brand New Day. And the other day I watched the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and it's actually been a while since I've watched them, probably since like they came out, to be honest. And so, of course, Spider-Man being one of my biggest obsessions, I wanted to make a video about it. These movies are low-key booty cheeks, but I think they do a lot of things better than the other Spider-Man movies. I just think as movies they're bad, but as Spider-Man movies they're good a little bit. So yeah, let's get into it. Unfortunately, the biggest problem with these movies is that the writing is really cheesy, and sometimes it's cute because it's like a superhero movie, but honestly it kind of takes you out of the movie a lot of times, especially the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I felt like it was low-key a little bit unwatchable at points because of how much it felt like they were just trying to force down your throat that, like, hey, Peter's smart. You know, like we all know Chekhov's gun, where they kind of hint at something before it happens, you know, by showing it in a frame, or just, you know, an object that's used in the beginning must be used at the end. And they would do that, but it was not subtle at all. It was very cringe. It was very predictable in the worst type of way. Yeah, I felt like they were kind of treating the audience like they were stupid. And of course, it's probably because it's geared towards 10-year-olds and not people like me who are 24. But nonetheless, the writing, especially in the first one, was super, super cheesy and like a little unbearable. But the other parts of the movie I think were really good and kind of, okay, maybe not really good. The other parts of the movie were, I think the other parts of the movie were better than, you know, the current Tom Holland movies, as well as even the Tobey Maguire movies. So like the actors, I think, honestly, I think Andrew Garfield is an underrated Spider-Man. He's probably my favorite. I think he's just super cool. Maybe it's just like the nostalgia or something, because I was too young to watch Tobey in theaters. But I think Andrew is such a fun Spider-Man, like especially the shot where like he's webbing up the guy stealing a car and stuff. Like it's the best quippiness, I guess. I really like that. I like the style, like a suit. And besides the actors as well, I think that the interactions and the the relationships between the characters were honestly better than the other movies. That was my favorite Uncle Ben. I think it wasn't like super forced, but it felt natural. I liked their interactions a lot throughout the movie. I definitely like the relationship between Gwen and Peter here a lot more than like any other Spider-Man relationship that I've seen besides like Into the Spider-Verse, because it actually, like, I felt the chemistry between them. And I know like Tom Holland and Zendaya are dating, but I just was not convinced that MJ and Peter liked each other. I think it felt a little unnatural, and it was a little too angsty for me, especially since like in Homecoming, MJ wasn't even his love interest. So yeah, definitely when it happened in Far From Home, I liked it at the time, but comparing it to Gwen and Peter in The Amazing Spider-Man, I mean, like, hands down, I think Gwen and Peter have so much more chemistry in The Amazing Spider-Man. I think the relationship is more complicated. I know like at the end of No Way Home things get complicated, but overall I think like MJ and Peter didn't make that much sense, but Gwen and Peter, I definitely felt like it was getting spicy at times. And then don't even get me started on Mary Jane in the Tobey Maguire movie. She was so annoying. Like she was actually the most insufferable love interest I have ever seen in my entire life. It was very hard to get through, and it made it hard to care about her because she just felt so entitled, and like she was honestly like a really bad girlfriend, very rude to Peter a lot of the times. Yeah, at least Gwen, right? There's conflict without Gwen being a literal just a bad person. So yeah, and I think I really like that Gwen was super smart and ambitious. And so yeah, overall I think that the love interest ex-Spider-Man relationship in The Amazing Spider-Man was better, despite, you know, the bad writing. I think they did a very good job showing the relationships. Like And that's what sucks so much about these movies, is because like I'll be really enjoying watching like Uncle Ben and Peter talking, or seeing Gwen and Peter talking, and like I will really love the relationship, and then as soon as it gets back into like two characters not interacting, it's like a Spider-Man movie. It's just so cheesy and corny. Like especially that scene when Gwen comes after her father's funeral and she's like, my dad died, everyone was there, you weren't there. Like we've never experienced that conflict with MJ and Peter. It just felt so like teenage fake conflict, like, oh, she doesn't know Spider-Man, but it was never that serious. Like their relationship was very deep. And that scene, I mean, like Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, that's all I have to say. Even the difference between Flash Thompson in the Homecoming trilogy versus the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy, or not trilogy, but sequel, whatever. Flash Thompson, after Uncle Ben dies, like that scene was so good, like because he was bullying Peter the entire time, and then you know Peter, he lets his anger out on him and he's like, oh, how's it feel to be on the other side, or something like that. And I'm like, like there's actual depth to these characters. They're not just like archetypes, and they're not just annoying, they're not just angsty or like, you know, there for comedic effect. They have range and emotion, and I like that. And there's conflict without making the character super annoying. I'm gonna butcher his name, but Rhys Ifans, or aka Rhys Ifans, aka Otto Hightower from House of the Dragon, aka Kurt Connors, was also really cool. It just sucks that the writing for him was so bad, but there are some iconic lines in there that I love so much that, again, like kind of make me not hate the writing. For example, like Paul Peter Parker.
Poor Peter Parker.
I just like, it's super nostalgic, so I remember my dad like saying that all the time, and it's so fun. Anyways, and Kurt Connors is low-key a little like, he's like a little, you know, like the lizard. But yeah, when he turns into the lizard, he's low-key kind of fine. Again, Kurt Connors is super fun. I like him more than some of the other Spider-Man villains like Mysterio. However, again, the writing, it's like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen to the mouse? Like, is the mouse gonna turn to a lizard too? Like, oh my god, the writing is super annoying. Poor Peter Parker. No mother, no father. Now, TASM 2 had a lot of the same issues as the first one. However, it was super, super fun. Like, I didn't realize how underrated that movie is. I know people might find it cringe at sometimes, but that movie was so fun. Yeah, I had very similar issues. Like, I really liked Electro as a villain. Jamie Foxx was super fun. But then, like, again, the writing, right? When he's in Times Square and there's pictures, you know, video, live footage of him all over Times Square. I'm like, wow, like at the beginning of the movie, he felt invisible, and now he's being blasted all over New York City. And then they have to make Jamie Foxx ruin the moment by saying, they see me. Like, no shit. Like, we know that. You know, like, just because it's geared towards kids doesn't mean that kids are stupid. Like, there's good kid movies that are written well. Anyways, overall though, I love the Electro fights. I think Electro's character design was super cool. I know people might not like the VFX and like the blue eel, but I thought it was super fun, especially during a lot of the fights. I like the kind of like trails, I guess, that were being left behind, and I like the contrast between the blue and the red. Like, it was super fun. Yeah, I really like it. I'll probably like put a bunch of clips because I think the fighting was super cool. I think I love Peter's suit in this one as well. I think this is probably one of my favorite suits because it just looks more polished, you know. So I hadn't watched it in quite a while, and I just remember not liking the Green Goblin plot. But when I rewatched it, the Green Goblin plot honestly wasn't that cringe to me. I did enjoy it. I think the casting was a bit strange. The guy from Chronicle was an odd choice for Harry Osborn compared to like James Franco, but you know, he probably has less allegations than James Franco. However, the plot was pretty good, and I think it tied in well with the whole like mystery behind Peter and his parents. I think it maybe would have been unnecessary, but I do like the character development that we get to see in Peter as he's wrestling with like, hey, my friend is literally dying, but like I can't give him, you know, this power because, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. I think that's really cool. And then to find out at the end that like it wouldn't have even worked because the spider was based off of his DNA, which is also cool because Spider-Verse is my favorite thing in the world, which means that, like, Peter, Andrew Garfield's Peter, was destined to be Spider-Man because his dad made the spider and the spider bit him, and yeah, that was cool. And it can't bite anyone else or they would have gotten super sick. Yeah, that was, I think it was actually really a fun subplot. The makeup, of course, was an interesting take on Green Goblin. Very much more like mutant chemical changes rather than, you know, a mask. But it wasn't as bad as I remembered. I actually kind of liked the plot. I just think the writing was bad. And then, of course, I feel like we've never been able to get the high that we got from Gwen Stacy dying. And I know it's a terrible thing, right? It's terrible. Gwen Stacy was super cool. However, I feel like the conflict in these other Spider-Man movies have not hit the same, besides like Spider-Man 2, but like Gwen Stacy dying, I think is what a lot of Spider-Man fans want to see. And I guess you could say we kind of got it in No Way Home. I have a lot of thoughts about that movie, but I think the conflict with MJ and Peter in No Way Home is low-key, it doesn't even compare, because throughout the entire movie it's like, oh, I need to protect Gwen, but I can't stay away from her, I need to protect her, and like that guilt of like her father dying and her, you know, him seeing Captain Stacy, and just that entire conflict, but then Gwen also still being a good person and wanting to help because she's just, you know, kind-natured, or good-natured. She's just kind. And then to ultimately die and to be so close. Of course, I know like it's from the comic book, but I just wish that we got something like that. And I don't think we're gonna get that in Brand New Day, unfortunately. Like, I need to see people grow when bad things happen to them. Characters grow when bad things happen to them. And I just really liked the buildup of the relationship, the character development between them. And then ultimately her dying right before. And I remember in theaters like being so confused that she died because I thought he grabbed her, and then like yeah, the hand web still a little cheesy to me, but yeah, I don't hate it. Overall, I think the movies were bad but really fun, and I just love Spider-Man so much, so I'm like definitely super biased. But I think they are underrated compared to the other Spider-Man movies. I honestly probably enjoy them more. Well, that's a lie. They are worse than the Tom Holland movies. However, as Spider-Man movies, I think they're good because I want to see Spider-Man as a dynamic character and not just a like dumb teenager for 4 movies. So yeah. If you haven't watched them, you should before Brand New Day comes out. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. If you like the video, like the video. I'll be coming out with more movie reviews. And yeah, okay, bye.